Welcome to the channel, Infinite Exploit, where we learn and have fun. Let's get started and Brody, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Love you guys.
Hey, welcome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know to get started in C. C is an awesome programming language, and in fact, it's one of the oldest programming languages around. And a lot of modern programming languages are based off of C. So I'm going to go over some of the basic concepts in C, and I'm going to go over what you need to cover to get started, okay, as far as the basics. So you're going to install a text editor. I recommend Visual Studio Code because it has a lot of capabilities like syntax highlighting, auto completion, etc. Or you can get code blocks. Here it comes with a compiler already. If you're getting Visual Studio Code, I recommend getting this GCC compiler. You can go to this link right here and follow the steps, or you can go to SourceForge and download it there. And basically, a compiler helps you build your code and convert it into an executable so you can run and test that code. Okay, so we're gonna go over different things like if statements, loops, different type of data that you can use in C, and then we're gonna get more advanced and talk about structures and functions and pointers as well. So 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 once you get your compiler, well, once you get your Visual Studio Code installed and get your compiler installed, you're going to be greeted with a screen like this, and you can go view new text file to open up a new tab, or you can click here. A couple things you can do as well is if you want to adjust your theme, you can go to settings there, theme color, and change it to whatever color you like. I like dark mode. Another thing too, if your terminal, this is like the console where you can output your code, is at the bottom. If it's not, you can go to view terminal, click it that way, or you can go here, terminal, and then you can do new terminal or split terminal. So that's how you can pull up your console. To confirm that you have the compiler installed, what you'll do is you'll go GCC, and you can go dash dash versions or dash dash V, whichever you prefer. I mean dash V if you do the shorthand, and if you do GC is dash dash version, okay? And this will let you know what version that you're running, okay? So it shows that I have GCC, my compiler, and basically the compiler is translating into a language that is translating the code into a language that the computer can understand. So this is going to be a program that we're going to test, and you will see pretty much how this works, okay? So so this is going to be a default program that I wrote here. And essentially what it does is it prints out welcome to my channel. These are headers. And in order to compile it, what I would have to do, I named it test.c. So you can name it whatever you want as long as it has a .c extension, okay? And when you go to compile it, you're going to go GCC-O for output, test, this is whatever you want to name your executable, and test.c, right? And it compiled successfully. I didn't see any errors. I'm going to clear the screen, and then I'm going to run the executable. And welcome to the channel is what it prints out to the screen. So now we can actually learn how to program, okay? So one thing too I want to let you know in this program here is we do have a main method, and that's a container to put our code in that gets executed when we run the code. And it looks for the set of instructions that we have here. And once we save our code, we're always going to save it and compile it so it can translate. It takes that C code and translate it into computer code. So this is a terminal, this is a console, this is where we're going to be running, we're seeing our code, and we need to, anytime we write an instruction, we need to end it with a semicolon, just like this, okay? In this video, I'm going to talk about variables in C. So a lot of times we're going to be dealing with a lot of data. So it's going to be a lot of data that you may be using or keeping track of. So that's where variables come in. So variables are essentially a container where you can store different variables, words, text, different characters, numbers, and they can make it really easy to keep track of a lot of data. So I'm going to show you how they're useful and how you use them in C. So basically with this program here, it's just saying, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, Infinite Exploit. Infinite Exploit really appreciate it. At one point, there were 0 subscribers, and now Infinite Exploit has more than 0 subscribers. But Make sure I spell correctly. So what we'll do is I'll save it, I'll compile it, and we'll run it and see it's print to the screen. Okay, so clear. Now, what if I'm reading through this? And what if I want to change this? What if I want to abbreviate that, call it IX? What if I want to change these numbers or these integers into a higher amount? What if it's 50? What if it's 60? You know, what if I want to do this? Now, manually doing this can be very tedious. Just imagine if we have hundreds or thousands of lines of code. Now, it's okay if we did it here, but it's not efficient. So this is only 4 lines of code. So if we had a huge program right now, hundreds of lines of code, then it would be a problem. So I'm going to store a character name. So I got to tell C that I want to create a variable. So I'm going to do char. So that's char. That just means I want to store a character inside of this variable. So I want to do a name. It's a container. So I got to give it a descriptive name. So I'm going to call it YouTube channel. And in here, I want to store multiple characters. So instead of store multiple or just one single character, I need to do an open and close bracket, square bracket, okay? Because if I don't, I can only store one character. And by one character, I mean like just Y or just O or just U. Now I can store a full name in here. So I'm going to do equal, and I'm going to do infinite exploit. And we have to end it with a semicolon, okay? So, so now I can store a variable for subscribers. I could do a number. So since we're doing a number of subscribers, I'm going to do an integer. So I'm going to do int, and I'm going to do subscribe num equals. All right. So how can we use these inside of the program? So I can print this out alongside of this text. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to do it. And I'm going to go here where we have the channel name, and I'm going to replace this with %s, right? And I'm going to make a comma, and I'm going to type in the variable name. And basically what happens is when we use this %s, we're telling C that we want to insert another string here. And this is a string variable. It's a placeholder. So I want to insert string, and I use the comma, and I put in that variable that I want to use here. So it's going to say, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, Infinite Exploit, right? So it's going to replace this %s with this. So let me go ahead and save it and recompile it. And let's run it. So I can also do it right here as well. I can do %s, and then I'll do a comma here and my placeholder again. So give you an example, I'll save it. Let's recompile it and let's run it. Right, and I'm noticing I'm not spelling this right. So let me go ahead and update that. All right, so we're good. Now I can also change this integer as well, from 0 in here as well. So instead of %s, we'll enter %d. So that just means we're going to enter an integer, a number. So 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 I'm going to do a comma here, and I'm going to type in name of the variable. So basically what I'm doing is where subscriber num, it's going to be a placeholder %d, and it's going to call that variable. It's going to replace it there. So I'm going to resave it. Let's recompile it, clear screen, and let's run it. As you see, it works fine. So it looks exactly the same as it did before. So I didn't have to type out the YouTube channel name or the subscriber name. So what if I want to change this? I could just modify it as one spot. So what if I want to call it IX? And what if I want to say 100? So if I recompile it, save it. So it changes it here. So I can store the value one time and it can modify in multiple places. So just imagine we have multiple lines of code like we mentioned earlier, then it can be very useful. So another cool thing we can do is we can modify it. So what if halfway through here we wanted to modify it? So I can actually do, let's see here. Well, what if I want to change the subscriber? Nah, well, since we're here and we're looking at these variables, what if I want to change it halfway through? I can do channel equals replacement, right? And I also can put it here too. So this would be %s, comma, and I'm gonna do so. Let me do my semicolon. All right. Let's see if we have any errors in this code here. And that's the thing about syntax. We want to follow rules such as grammar. It lighten up red right here, so it's more than likely to give me an error here. But yeah, so those errors are when we fail to meet the programming rules. But I'm gonna compile it, see what it gives me, just so we can test it. Okay, so it doesn't like that bracket there. So maybe I don't need the bracket. Let's see. Equals. Let me see if it'll let me change subscribe num. I put it right here. That's, I'm replacing it. See if that'll compile. Nope, because I'm not changing it to it. I'm changing it with a string. Let me change it to 20. And I can change this halfway through. Hopefully that compiles. Yes, it does. Let's test it. Hmm. I might have to put these in a different order because this placeholder is here and then this one's second. So let me try that. And you can always tab over the autocomplete more than likely. So let's recompile, clear. Let's run it now. All right. Yeah. So as you can see, it changed it halfway through because we went ahead and reassigned that variable to a different number. All right. So a lot of times when we're working with data in C, we're going to be storing that data inside a variable. So whenever we create a variable, we got to tell C a couple pieces of information or what type of data we want to store inside of that container, inside of that variable. So let's talk about different types of data. One of the most that you'll talk about is numbers. There's two different types of numbers. One is called an integer, which is a whole number. So that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's like whole numbers, and that's what an integer is. So when you do integers, you do int, and I'll say age equals 500, or you can't be that old, 100. And it's a variable, age. You can also do a decimal. This would be a number like 2.5, 7.8, 3.9. So it's two type of decimal numbers in C. You have double and you have float. So for a beginner, you want to just do uh, double. So we can do, we'll do shoe size, and we can do 7.5. All right, and it'll come in handy. Uh, We can also have store characters, single characters. So we can do char, which is character, and we can do like grade, and we can specify what type of character we want to store in there. We can do C, D, A, B. So this character uh, variable is going to store this one character, only one single character. We can't do this. Right? So these three data types we can represent a lot of information. So so we can only store one with this one. So if we want to represent a string of characters, this is called a string character, a collection of characters. We can use that char still, and I can do phrase, open and close square bracket, and that means we want to string a bunch of characters together. So we're gonna this is basically like an array, okay? And we do the quotations, and I could say, all right, and then get stored inside of this variable, okay? Say so this is different from this. We can't modify this. It'll act a little bit different. So like previously when we talked about that, we could not change it. So we're gonna also talk about printf function. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you what printf does and how we print out different numbers, strings, etc. So we'll do pr printf. This is a function. It can perform a certain task. It just appends information into the string. So we usually print out text. So I can say hello for me. All right, so I'll compile it. Let's see if it's issue with single quote versus double quotes. Clear. Let's see. Yeah, appears to be. So you see that. And if we want to put these on different lines, I can do /n, and this part will be on one line and this will be on another. So let's recompile. Clear. And as you see, it's split up like that. Okay. We can also use special characters. Like if I do a normal quotation mark, it only counts this as a string. But if I do a backslash here, it'll actually print the quotation mark. See, and it's extremely powerful. And we can usually print out plain text. We can print out numbers as well. I would have to use a format specifier. It just basically tell the printf function. It allows us to print out different data types. So if I do %d, I could it means we want to print out an integer. So I can do comma, and I can specify the integer I want to print out. So if I do 10,000, compile, it prints it out. So if I wanted to do, and I say I want, it'll say I want 5,000. I wish I had that. Yeah. And what I can do here is I can also do %s, which is a placeholder for a string. So if I want to add a string, I can do like that. and then I can save it, recompile. Oh, so I want money, 10,000. So insert that in. So so I'm using, so I can really take this off, all right? So we want to separate these using commas when we're talking about our placeholder. So this goes with this, and this goes with this. And if I use, let's say %f, that's gonna allow me to print out decimals. So if I want to say it'll print out, it can print that out. So let me go in and recompile. Now I run it. See, it can print out decimal number. So another thing I can do is I can create a variable. Let's say I want to do an integer, so I do int, and I do my num, and I'll say 100, right? And I could do, instead of this one, I can do my num, all right? And let's recompile. So these are modifiers. We can also do %c as well. So what if I wanted to create character variable, and I call it my char, and I want to say it's t, right? Then I can do %c, and I can say, all right, let's compile it. Oh, we got an error. Mm, okay, so I got it mixed up. So my num, and then my char. Make sure it's in the right order. So yeah, D will go towards this one, and this will be T. And I need to definitely make sure I have my semicolon. I think that's what's killing it. All right. So it compiled successfully. All right. So yeah, that's good. So we're gonna talk about working with numbers in C. So sometimes we're storing numbers, sometimes we're doing math with numbers, so basic arithmetic. I'm gonna show you what else we can do with numbers. And I'll show you how different number types interact, like singles, doubles. So if I do, let's say %f, and I do 9.9, stand for, it's a floating point number. So it's like a double. It's like basically a decimal number. It allows us to print out a decimal. So what I'm gonna do is I'll recompile it. Now I run it, and it prints out not only 9.9, but prints out to a precise decimal. Uh, so using these decimals, I can do math as well. So if I do 9.9 plus 10.9, it's gonna not only print it out, but it'll do the math for us as well. So let me clear so you can see. So what if I want to add an integer, right, with a floating point number? It's gonna get converted into a decimal. it's going to be a floating point number. So if we do an integer and a floating point number, it's going to return a floating point back. So, all right. So if I do this, it should give me an integer back. So, 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 so it's not working because I'm asking for a floating point number and I'm giving it integers. So what if I do 9 divided by 10? It should be a decimal number. So let's do this. Let's see if I get a floating point. 0. So I can also specify variables as well, you know. So another thing that we can do is we can talk about powers, like raising numbers to a different power. So I could do POW and I can give it 2 numbers. It'll take the first number and it'll take it to the second number. So if I do 5 and 5, it would be 5 raised to the power, like that, right? So, so okay. So they want me to include the mouth header. That's clear. Yeah. It says 0. So let me see, can I do a more simple operation? Still 0. So let me see if it'll do if I do a floating point number. Okay. So yeah, it does 8. Let's see. Okay, that's good. So I can also do square root by doing this right here. And I can say of 25, which should give us 5. Recompile. Test. Okay. So I can also do CEIL, which is stand for ceiling. It actually allow us to round the number. It will give us the highest number. So it should go from 20 to 26. So we can also do floor. We should round it down, do the opposite. Let's recompile it. Okay. So yeah, those are some little functions we can use. So that's like the basis of working with numbers. You can add, subtract, multiply. So you can also go on Google and look for C malfunctions. Now I'm gonna go over comments. This is a special block of code that allows you to ignore a certain line of code. So if I do, for example, we can do little notes and everything. You can disable certain lines of code. So I can do that. I can go / and asterisk. This is a comment, right? So this will not get, this is not going to get executed. This get ignored by C. So they're very useful. I can leave a note to self, things to do. So I can say, this prints out text. I can say this is a comment. Now, what if I wanted to run my program and I didn't want to write this program, write this line? I could delete it. I can comment it out, and I can surround it by this. I just comment it out. So you can just comment them out if you're getting errors in your code, so you can test them. They're just open, you know. So you can use them, whenever you want. Now, I would say if you use them sparingly. Only use them when absolutely necessary. Okay. So I'm going to talk about constants and see. It's a special type of variable that cannot be modified. It's immutable. So, what if I did an integer and I do num equals 6 and I do f and I do num and then I say num is 11, so I change it and I do print. So this should change, but what if I didn't want this to be modified, right? It's 6 and then it's 11. So this is what I can do. I can do const. You see it's red right here? That means I can't modify because I gave it the const keyword. So you want to have variables that cannot be modified, you'll do the const. So they might give it a different name. They might do like, right? So usually constants are all capital. That's just usually like a best practice there. You can deal with numbers and text as well. So if I say test, this is pretty much considered a constant because I just have it here, you know. So even if I do, this will be a constant because 1,000, it's just hard coded in there, right?